So after doing some set building, some puppet making, some testing, I am finally ready to start filming my next animation, which is going to be starring the lovely Mabel and this spaceman. So first up, I had to write a script. Now this was actually an idea that had been rolling around in my head for quite some time. I don't know if there's any writers out there. Hey, if you are out there. But often I have ideas that sit in my head for quite a while. Sometimes it's because I don't quite know how to write that story, or because I don't quite know what format it sits in. Would it be best as a short story? Would it be best as a live action film? Would it be best as a play? Anyway, I was starting making some more puppets, and this idea just really sort of started blossoming in my head, and it just felt like it would fit in the animation. So I wrote out the script and we were ready to get going. There was a couple of problems I was going to have with this script, problems that were clearly only brought on by myself. No one had asked me to do this. As always, I'm always just like, oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea. Why not? What else have I got to be doing, you know, than going to work and generally being a grown-up and looking after myself? Why not just sit and play astronauts and give myself major amounts of work to do? So in this little animation, Mabel is going to be greeted with a hologram of an astronaut before she meets the real thing, which meant that I was going to have to try and work out how to build a hologram. I wasn't sure how to do this at all. I would say CGI is not my area of expertise. I'm quite good at video editing, but yes, CGI is, even that sort of really ropey early 2000s CGI is way above my level of skills. So I decided to have a go with some paper animation. I've done this before with things like my Christmas animation, but I realised to actually make more long form animation, I was going to need a lot of pictures, and I didn't really want to end up having to draw the entire scene. So I experimented with just using one character that was cut out and then green screening that in. I did try it out on a smaller scale, so I wasn't screaming when I drew out like insane amounts of characters, only for it not to work. But it seemed to work. So I got drawing so many spacemen. But I finally got there. So I had my sets, I had my puppets, I had my little spacemen. Right, so we're going to do some audio today. So we've got the lovely Mr. Jones here. Say hello. Anyway, we're going to do some voice recording now. Should we do another take? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was banging my cup a bit on earlier.
You were as well.
I think that probably messed up some bits.
Astronauts normally aren't drinking coffee.
I may be a professional.
You're not a professional.
Probably be. I'd probably better be getting. I'd probably better be getting back to my ship now.
Oh, okay.
But I'll be back.
When?
This time tomorrow?
Okay. Good night, astronaut.
Good night.
You said that again. It sounded creepy.
Good night.
No, don't make it sound more creepy.
Good night.
That sounds better. Thank you. Now we have to go and do some dancing. So we're going to go downstairs and do some dancing. Right, so what we're going to do now is going to act out the dance that the stop motion characters are going to do. This won't be in the film, hence we look an absolute state, or at least I do. So we're just going to do some dancing now to sort of mimic those movements, so I've got something to work off, hopefully. So we're basically just doing a very simple dance where we're taking the right leg forward and then back, and then the left leg forward and back. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible because I knew it was going to be quite a difficult thing to replicate as it was, so I didn't want to start adding very complicated moves into it. Ta-da!
Cool.
Now I think they're probably supposed to be looking forward when they're dancing and not at their feet, but thankfully I'll be moving their feet for them, so they won't have to concentrate on what they're doing, unlike us that have no idea what we're doing. Which is not fresh information, is it? I think that's all. Then, without any provocation, I started dancing like an absolute lunatic, and Mr. Jones sat there questioning his life choices. So I was going to need a radio to emit the music that we were going to dance to, so let's get onto that now. I thought the best thing to do was to actually look at a radio for reference, so ta-da, here is a radio. So the main elements of the radio are, well, it's just a square. I guess it could be any shape, but they're normally a square, and a square is probably an easier shape to try and achieve. Then we've got this big speaker area on the radio to emit the music, which is the main purpose of the radio. Then this little antennae to pick up radio signals or whatever it's. I don't really understand how radio signals work. We haven't got time for that. But yeah, an aerial, and then there are some little like dials and switches and things on the side. So they're the basic things that we're trying to do. So for the base, I've got a wooden block. I have then painted that and then drilled a hole in it. And here we have, how exciting, a wooden block with a little hole in it. I will explain that in a moment. So we've got our bases for the radio, and now we need the speaker. Now I was thinking to myself, what can I use as a speaker? I wasn't sure how to replicate that shape, and then it occurred to me, what is a small speaker? Earphones. And as you all know, I am incapable of throwing things out. A wire to something I never even own anymore. A charger for a type of laptop that is now defunct and I can't even get anymore. Oh, we are not throwing that out. So I have quite a collection of broken earphones in a drawer, which I'm unable to part with for reasons I don't quite understand. But thankfully the hoarding has paid off, and I have been able to actually use these to help make the speaker. So I basically took one of these earphones apart, as you can see there, complete chaos, and found this inside it. Well, on the top of it. And this is a tiny little speaker. So we're just going to get this stuck on to the side of our little radio. But before we do that, we also need to get an aerial sorted. So I wasn't sure what to use, but looking at this, it's basically just a metal stick, retractable stick. I'm not making a retractable aerial. We're just going to have to go with an aerial because this is beyond the realms of my capabilities. So yeah, an aerial. Now I have some wire left over from when I was making the puppets, so I'm just going to use a small length of this and snip this off with some little wire snippers. I'm going to slot this into the little hole that we made here, I explained earlier, which is pretty much the right size. Oh, I think that looks pretty cute. So then I'm just going to get that speaker stuck on there with some hot glue now. And yay, that has worked. I was a little bit worried that when I put the hot glue on and then this little speaker, that the glue was going to start press through it like a garlic through a garlic press. Thankfully that's not happened, and it's really starting to look like a radio, but we just need a little dial on it. Now, as an AFOL, is that what it's called, AFOL? Adult fan of Lego, yay. I have quite a lot of Lego in my possession. So I found a tiny little Lego piece that I think we're just going to use as the dial. Now it doesn't need to actually move around, but I'm going to make it look like she's moving around in the animation. So I'm just going to stick this on now too. And there we have it, a little radio. I think that looks pretty cute. So now we're all ready to get dancing. So I started filming and things were going quite well. And then I watched it back and I thought, this doesn't look right. So obviously, as you can see here, she disappears off screen and then appears almost instantly with some pills. So that just sort of brings up some questions, like, has she just like got a stash of pills like here? Which like seems a bit illogical. Or I could sort of be lazy, I guess, and just hold on the frame of just the empty room and just like have footsteps, which kind of would work, but I kind of realised I was going to actually have to do something, and this is going to be like 10 seconds worth of footage. I didn't really want to have to build an entire other set. I mean, I could have done, but I just can't be bothered. I mean, I'm sure that's very lazy of me, but what I did was I took the set I had, turned it around and painted in another colour. Ta-da! Yeah, another set. Now obviously this isn't perfect, it doesn't have a floor, and this bottom bit is a little bit messy, but what I'm basically just going to do is film from like the waist up and do like a zoomed in shot, so we don't have to worry about the floor element. I'm not going to have the character walking about, I don't think, on this bit, so if I can just get her to stand, well, she will stand, she just won't sort of walk without magnets, so hopefully that should work. Now in terms of the pills and things, we are going to put them on a little cupboard. So this is something I actually have previously built. I built this for my animation gingerbread. This isn't a working cupboard, these are just pretend little drawers, but they do look like drawers, so I think that's quite cute. And then I'm just going to put the medication on the top, which brings me on to the medication. So I'm not gonna lie, I had a bit of a problem with this. I wasn't sure what to do. So what I initially tried to do was use some Lego pieces. I've said before, obviously, that I do like quite a bit of Lego. I bought like a really huge bag of cheap Lego a while back, and I've just been using it for quite a lot of projects. It's really good. Or you could, I don't know, steal some from a child in your life. Don't steal things, guys, it's wrong. Anyway, but you know, just if you happen to be, I don't know, standing on some Lego in the night, I feel like you deserve some Lego. Anyway, I took some Lego pieces and then just tried to like sort of write things on them, like they were medications. Like, what have we got? Take one a day. Now, as you can see from that, well, you can't see a lot, can you? Because it's all smudged, the writing on there. Also, I realised I really couldn't write that small without it looking just like really rubbish. I mean, my handwriting is not perfect to start with. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter what I do to them. They do look like Lego blocks. So I had to think of a different option. Now, I am using here the idea of like a pill bottle, which I think is more common in the US. In the UK, we tend to use like, let me go and find one. So here we've got just a general box of paracetamol. This is something that's just like widely available to buy in the UK. Obviously, if you live here, you will realise that. And they're normally just in these paper boxes, and then they have these little sort of foil packets that you just split open and pop the pill out of. I think this would be quite difficult to replicate. I also don't think these look really nice. I mean, obviously that's not its purpose, is it? It's to like get you some pain relief or reduce your temperature and other things that paracetamol does. But I just think the pill bottles look a bit more aesthetically pleasing, and as I'm trying to make something that looks nice, I thought I'd go with that. Also, I think it's gonna be easier to replicate. So I was having a think and chewing on the end of my pen, as I like to do. Probably not supposed to do this. It's probably how I always end up covered in ink. But regardless, that's what I was doing. And then I realised the end of the pen might work. So I took the end of the pen, and they're quite a nice little shape. They're like a little cylinder with a little bit on top that looks a little bit like a lid. So I was really impressed with myself that I'd found that out. I'd given up on trying to do the writing because it just really wasn't working on the small scale. So I basically just got a tiny piece of paper and drawn some little lines on it. And then I've just stuck that on with some clear tape. I think that looks a little bit like a pill bottle. We're using it regardless of whether you think it looks like a pill bottle or not. So I hope you all agree. I have also got a few of these. These are little tiny Lego pieces, but I don't think they look very much like Lego. I just found some of these again in the bottom of my big sack of Lego things, and I think they look fine. So I'm going to put them together and see what they all look like. And I think they look really cute. So I think we're ready to go. Now, I was just going to film the extra scene that was missing in the middle there, but I think I'm going to have to redo this all when I had to think about it, to be honest. My idea in this animation, it isn't about pain, but my idea was to subtly touch on the idea of chronic illness and invisible illness. It's just something that I do suffer with myself. Not trying to make a big deal like that, but just saying it is a thing, and I really want to highlight that and make people aware of that people are suffering and you can't always see it. So I think the fact that I've got the character coming in and struggling to walk and hobbling about sort of doesn't really give that message. I want it to look like there's nothing actually wrong with her, but then you realise she needs to go and take pills. I think that puts the point across better. So I think we're just going to have her like walking fine and then just going off to get her pills. And you'd be like, oh, does she need pills? I'm also not going to explain what's actually wrong with her. I mean, I'm not 100% sure what's wrong with her, so just leave that up to your own imagination. And as you can see now, I've filmed that scene with the additional set involved, and I think it makes a lot more sense. I'm also really happy with how the pill bottles turned out. I think it looks like what it's supposed to look like. I think in an ideal world, possibly this would be in a bathroom cabinet, but I didn't have the time to start making a stop motion bathroom, so something for another day. Hey, so here I am again in super glamorous film set. I just sat on the floor and we're ready to make Mabel dance. Now, obviously I need to make her complement the moves of the astronauts. So I've got the astronauts here just to have a look at their movements. So basically we're going to do that dance that me and Mr. Jones did, and we're going to do it in maths. It's a Saturday. It's not time for maths. Basically, I've numbered these astronauts 1, 2, 3. So what we basically need is for her to be at a static state with both her legs together, just ready to move, and then it take her 3 moves to move her leg forward. Then we're going to do an additional 3 back. So 1 and then 1, 2, 3 forward and then 1, 2, 3 back. I think that should work. And then we have to go through the motions of doing it with each limb. Let's get started because this might take some time. So here I'm just taking a quick photo reference with a post-it note just to mark which scene I'm actually filming to make it easier when I'm editing, basically like you would use a clapperboard. Hey, so here I am on the floor doing some super glamorous filmmaking as always, but as I previously said, it doesn't matter with animation what the rest of the situation looks like. It doesn't matter about all this mess. We're just filming on the floor today. So as long as this is basically where I'm going to be filming, there's this green square. As long as this is the entirety, it's fine. None of the rest of this is anyone's business. I say, as I stream it on the internet. So here I'm basically just taking a photo of each astronaut in each position and then running through the sequence of the dance and taking a picture of each of those dance movements all together. There is a little mark on this board where the astronaut needs to go, so the astronaut is in the same position during each photograph. No specialist equipment here particularly, apart from obviously the camera. I've just painted a piece of wood green and then I've weighed that down with some weights just so it's not moving about. I've then pulled in Mabel's section of the dancing and altered the frame rate. I only use a frame rate of 6, which I know is quite low for stop motion. I think professionals use a frame rate of about 24, but I've tried this in the past and my skills are not deft enough to make 24 look good. It just looks really jerky and fast and a bit of a chaotic mess. So to suit my actual skill set, I think 6 frames actually looks better. Feel free to disagree with me and do whatever you want, but certainly that works best for me. I've then taken the astronaut pictures that we took on the green screen and then dragged those into the second video track. I've again altered the frame rate on those and I've taken the same amount of pictures of both the astronaut and of Mabel, so both those video tracks are the same length. I've then gone into the Fusion tab. This is using DaVinci Resolve, which is a free program for anyone interested. I've then used the Delta Fusion effect to get rid of the green screen and amalgamate the astronaut into the animation as we can see here now. Obviously way too small, so I've gone in and changed that video. I've zoomed in and I've positioned the astronaut to make sure he's in the right place, and then we're just going to play that through and see what it looks like. Now they are dancing and it's not terrible, but what is going on here? It basically looks like he's punching her in the face. This is not what we want at all. So I had a number of options of what to do with this arm. I could have tried to work out how to make it go behind her head and try and make the rest of the arm invisible. I could have also taken each individual photo and made the arm shorter, but I think that would have been a bit of an odd look. So I think what we're going to try and do is just reshoot Mabel's side of things and make her stop leaning forward. So hopefully this will work. I am a little bit worried she might fall over, but we'll see how it goes, and if this doesn't work I'm going to have to try and brush up on my CGI skills. And yay, thank goodness, the astronaut is no longer hitting Mabel in the face, which is excellent because we absolutely do not want anyone harmed. This is not an action thriller, no violence needed at all. I'm now ready to film the final scene. Yay, we got here. I often feel like I'm never going to get through an animation, but we are finally at the final scene where we're going to be getting Mabel to dance with the actual astronaut. Hopefully this won't be quite as tedious as trying to make her dance with a hologram. This scene was so much easier to put together than the one with the green screen. I mean, for a start, they were both just in situ, but I also went with a slightly simplified dance, but I think it was quite cute to do this sort of slow dance type thing at the end, and I think it works really well and ties the animation up really well. Super happy with how all that dancing turned out. It was a bit of a nightmare, and it's probably going to be quite a while before I want to make any puppets dance again. I just don't know if I need to do that to myself anytime soon. But I hope you enjoyed it. So that's all the shooting for the animation done now, but I still have a lot of editing to do and I still need to fit all the vocals that I did with Mr. Jones to all the animation. So I'm going to go and get on with that now. So the animation itself, Spaceman, will be out in 2 weeks. I do put up videos every second Sunday, so do make sure to subscribe to be kept up to date about all things animation, and I will see you all again really soon. Bye!